I'm sitting there at the end of the first quarter when she had that 38-second stretch where she drained deep three after deep three after deep three. I was just sitting there thinking, I've been around this league since 1997. I have never seen that in a WNBA game. Have we seen players go on runs? Of course we have, but not like that. Not where a couple of the three-pointers are from 30-plus feet. It was an exhibition by her.
Remember the first time you stuck your head out of the window on a highway and felt the wind slap you in the face? That's what it felt like watching the Fever Sun game last week, except the wind was an entire league's worth of elbows, eye gouges, and swallowed whistles. Today we're diving into why Hall-of-Famer Rebecca Lobo just went on national TV and basically told the WNBA, fix your refs or risk everything. If you think that's hyperbole, stick around, because every data point, every coach's text thread, even every TikTok follower backs her up.
She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA.
On paper, the 2025 season, Caitlin Clark's much-anticipated sophomore campaign, should be the summer of women's hoops. Corporate sponsors are throwing money, national outlets finally remembered the league exists, and an Iowa-born guard wearing number 22 is dragging Nielsen ratings into uncharted territory.
Rebecca, tell me, what does Clark's return mean for the WNBA?
Well, I mean, it means a lot more people are paying attention once again. We know how much Caitlin drives ratings. We know how much Caitlin drives attention on the WNBA. And for her to come back and do it in that way was just ridiculous.
Yet, instead of riding that tidal wave, we got a fever dream, literal fever, of flying forearms and a refereeing crew that looked like they were checking their phones for dinner reservations.
It was just ridiculous. It's not often that you're watching the WNBA or that I'm watching it and I'm like, wow, I've just never seen this before.
5 games. That's how long Clark sat with that ankle sprain. During that stretch, average WNBA viewership cratered by up to 50%, social engagement tanked, and you could almost hear sponsors recalculating ROIs. Sports media analysts John Orand and Austin Karp crunched it even further. Nationally aired games that previously hovered around 1.4 million dipped closer to 750,000 for the same time slot, a 46% hole.
But here we go with Caitlin Clark, singularly, being missing for the time she was gone, and ratings tanking, 50% in some cases. And then also she comes back and reminds everyone how spectacular she is, and everybody's talking about the WNBA. So if you needed to sort of have it affirmed to you that it is just her, that the singularity of her is what we are talking about, and her star power, you got it with this absence and then the way she came back.
Instagram interactions across official team accounts fell by roughly 38%, according to Zoomf. When Clark returned against New York, 2.8 million people tuned in, more than the Stanley Cup final average. Those aren't basketball numbers, they're macroeconomic indicators. You don't have to love Clark's logo threes to love what they do to your bottom line.
And Cunningham is down behind the play, but they've got Caitlin Clark. 2 players with incredible up. Clark, another long 3. She's back!
So why, in game after game, does the league's primary revenue engine look like she's running the gauntlet in American Gladiators? We saw it versus the Sun. Jazz Shelley claws at Clark's face. Marina Mabrey shoulders her to the hardwood. No ejection. Instead, refs issue offsetting personals like, it's a hockey scrum. And if you think that's playoff-level let 'em play energy, remember it's June. We haven't even hit the dog days yet.
This angle is wild, folks. There's the eye gouge. Watch Mabry. Boom! I mean, come on.
The NBA once faced the same credibility cliff in the early 2000s. Think Hack-a-Shaq, and the infamous 2007 Sun-Spurs suspensions. Commissioner David Stern responded with a 3-point plan. Bigger replay center, stricter flagrant triggers, and full-time ref contracts tied to annual reviews. The NHL introduced the Gretzky rule to deter clutch-and-grab tactics that slowed scoring.
The Indiana Fever, they need to go hockey. And let me explain this. The great Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player in my lifetime. Okay, all respect due to Gordie Howe and everyone else. But they had a rule in the National Hockey League. And I've heard quotes where defensemen have said, they were asked, hey, how come you don't nail Gretzky along the board? They said, no, we'll hit him. But they say, we'll never take a cheap shot. We'll never take anything unnecessary or anything too far, because we understand his importance to the league, and part of our paycheck we owe to him.
Pattern. Leagues grow when they stop romanticizing rough play and start incentivizing skill. The blueprint is there. The W could photocopy it tomorrow. Every cheap shot carries interest. Sophie Cunningham spends 5 seconds defending Clark, wakes up with 1 million new followers and her jersey on backorder. Meanwhile, veteran guards grinding for a decade gain in one night what social teams couldn't manufacture in 10 years. That's Clark's gravity. Hurt her, and that influence collapses like a star-gone supernova, taking TV deals, merch sales, and maybe your next contract extension with it. Enter Rebecca Lobo, Olympic gold medalist and the rare ESPN voice who speaks like a grown-up at the kids' table. Her verdict on ESPN's pregame show was blunt.
She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs to get better. Specifically, the consistency, not only from one game to the next, but the consistency within a game.
Notice the pronoun. Not some coaches, not a few frustrated staffs. Every coach. Off camera, you can practically hear the league office shuffling memos, because when insiders start leaking in unison, the dam is cracking. Lobo also revealed a darker adaptation. One coach told her, play as physically as you can for 40 minutes. They'll only whistle 2.
One coach told me, we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get away with it. So I think everybody would like to see a tighter whistle and a little bit more freedom of movement.
Translation? In an officiating vacuum, the smart move is to crank up the contact until somebody blows a knee. It's the exact prisoner's dilemma scenario the NHL faced pre-Gretzky rule. Back then, enforcers roamed free, until owners realized the guy selling tickets couldn't score if he was concussed. Hockey changed. Basketball hasn't, yet. The league's first instinct has been to fine coaches like Stephanie White for screaming about -30 whistle gaps. That PR tourniquet isn't working. Players are going to the post-game podium on bad ankles telling reporters refs literally laughed when they asked for protection. Laughing. The optics are brutal. A league that markets empowerment, but shrugs when its stars ask not to be mugged.
The second time where I'm attacking, it's very physical. I'm saying something to the ref, watch my landing space, watch physicality. I get laughed at, and it ends in my ankle getting turned. The same thing happened in Dallas, a flagrant that wasn't called. Same thing happened here. So my ankle is hanging in there, but it's starting to get very frustrating. I'm averaging less than 2 free throws a game. And I drive, like I'm physical. I'm not someone who's avoiding contact. So I just hope that the safety of players starts to become a priority versus the ego of refs.
This isn't about giving Clark Jordan rules. It's about returning to rules, period. Hardened vets from Angel McCautry to Candace Parker have all said the same thing. Physical is fine, reckless isn't. Review crews need 3-point line cameras dedicated to off-ball holds, an automatic flagrant review for contact above the shoulders, and a transparent last 2-minute report that drops before the next news cycle buries it. Add in a summer-long ref training camp that mimics the NBA's G League pipeline, complete with weekly film breakdowns and graded scrimmages, and you've got a path from chaos to competence. Until then, fans will decide those empty seats are safer than courtside.
The game has changed so much. Players are faster, they're better, they're bigger, they're stronger. They're as good as they've ever been. They're as athletic as they've ever been. The game is fast now. Things are happening quickly. Everybody's getting better, except the officials.
When Wayne Gretzky skated, even rival D-men admitted they pulled up short on dirty hits because the league's revenue engine wore 99. The WNBA's version wears 22. Protecting her isn't favoritism, it's portfolio management. The more games Clark finishes upright, the more eyeballs march into arenas, where they discover Aaliyah Boston footwork clinics, Aja Wilson mid-post poetry, and Ariki Ogunbowale heat checks. Everyone eats.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul.
Cunningham's follower explosion is proof the fan base rewards positivity. Imagine if the league leaned into that. Collaborative Mike D segments, viral behind-the-scenes of vets mentoring rookies, actual marketing dollars behind the players who uplift rather than undercut. Rivalries sell, but respect retains. Give audiences villains who dominate the scoreboard, not the injury report.
As we expected, Sophie Cunningham has reached 1 million followers. 1 million followers. Sophie Cunningham on TikTok has gained, if I'm not mistaken, I think she has gained nearly 900,000 followers. It's at least 700,000. Sophie Cunningham on TikTok now has 1 million followers.
Let's talk sponsorship math. Every national partner negotiates a make good clause. If viewership drops below a threshold, the brand gets future inventory free. 3 more Clarkless nights like the mid-June slump could trigger those clauses, costing the league 7-figure ad credits. Conversely, sustained ratings above 1.5 million unlock escalator bonuses and premium slot renewals. Bottom line, keeping number. 22 healthy is literally written into the fine print of the league's P&L.
Kathy Engelbert praised the league star by saying, quote, "She's the most popular athlete in America." Not women's basketball player, not WNBA player, not NBA player, the most popular athlete in America.
Kathy Engelbert isn't wrong when she calls Clark the most popular athlete in America. Popularity curves rise slowly and crash instantly. One catastrophic flagrant can undo a decade of growth. Ask the NHL after Todd Bertuzzi or the NBA after Malice at the Palace. The good news? The fix is simple. Clearer points of emphasis, more eyes in Secaucus, and zero tolerance for headshots masquerading as physical play. So WNBA, the ball is literally in your court. You can tune out Lobo, White, and every coach frantically texting her, or you can tighten up now and ride this once-in-a-generation wave all the way to record rights deals. As fans, we don't need perfect refs, just consistent ones. We don't need Clark bubble-wrapped, just fairly whistled. Do that, and the league's future is as limitless as her next Logo 3. If you're still with me, drop a basketball in the comments. Smash that like so the algorithm actually calls a foul for once, and hit subscribe for more unfiltered fever updates. See you in the next breakdown.